It was wet and windy, but well and truly worth it for the 20,000 die-hard fans who made their way to the MCG to watch the Magpies smash Fremantle by 48 points on Friday night. Welcome to this week's episode of The Agenda. I'm Michael Christian, and back from his mid-season sabbatical, great to have Jay Clark from the Herald Sun with us. Jay, welcome back, mate.
Great to be here, Chris. So, it was a very strong start to the second half of the season. Everyone here pretty disappointed with how the first part of the year went, but strong foundation set for the second half of the year. Lots of positives. The backline, obviously, we'll get to that. What's going to happen over the next few days will be very interesting because Darcy Moore is pressing for his return against Carlton, Chriso. What will that mean for the rest of the forward line mix? Nathan Buckley's got some big decisions over the next couple of days.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. But let's focus on the defence, and of course, Nathan Buckley, the Collingwood coach, spoke about it post-match on Friday night.
Yeah, well, the best defences are settled and get used to playing footy with each other. So having Reedy back and play as much footy as he has after a couple of years that he's happy to have behind him has been pretty important for us. Jeremy's been a lock in the last sort of couple of months. Braden, we've pumped games into Braden Maynard and he's starting to come along. It was good to see Brownie back. Jonathan Marsh probably played his best of a handful of games that he's played. Look, we want to be as stable as we possibly can. Marley Williams' second game back. Ben Sinclair's sort of been in and out with concussion and injury. But yeah, if we could have that, even if we had that back seven for the next month off the back of strong performances, we'll be better. We'll defend better as a result.
Yeah, no question about that. And Ben Reid, Nathan touched on there. You wrote about him in the Herald Sun on Friday morning. What a season he's had.
Well, exactly right. I mean, you go back a year ago and you thought, is Ben Reid even going to get back out on the park, let alone recapture his best? But it's almost been one of the best stories for Collingwood's season. He's working across half-back, he's intercept marking and he's kicking, Chris. So as we've seen, is there another centre half-back in the competition who can use the ball as he can from centre half-back? And with some guys around him trying to get some continuity there. We saw Jonathan Marsh come back in, Braden Maynard, I really liked his game. Jeremy Howard's been very settled back there as well, as Buck said. So I think that is becoming a more stable mix. And Ben Reid, I mean, the All-Australian selectors would have to be looking very hard at him at the moment because his intercept marking is fantastic. Up there with Rance and Robbie Tarrant, you would have to say.
Yeah, for All-Australian, no question about that. And of course, Nathan Brown back in the team on Friday night was a fantastic inclusion as well. Now, you touched on Jono Marsh.
Yep.
Now, he is a star, the boy from Margaret River, and he was outstanding on Friday night. He's taken a while to really consolidate, but now it looks as though he's entrenched himself in this team. Here he is speaking with Collingwood media post-match.
It's always nice getting a win, especially coming off a bye. For the boys to go out and give that effort it's pretty fantastic. Yeah, I wouldn't take too much credit for myself. I was in the right spots, but the pressure coming from the forwards and the mids was seriously. I know that's pretty cliche, but it was first class. So it allows us backs to even a couple extra seconds just to body up or to read the ball because it wasn't coming in perfect for the forwards. So I'll actually give the credit to the rest of the team. Hopefully that I can make my footprint, my imprint in the AFL side from now on. But yeah, the mindset would just week by week, if I'm playing VFL, tick that off. Hopefully we'll get the chance, but you can't dwell on anything because negative thoughts just attract more negative thoughts, and what's the good in that? On Monday we'll review why we did well, and like I said, pocket it and not get complacent, and we'll go again, and hopefully we'll have the same mindset. We'll go out and smash Carlton. So yeah, it's not getting too carried away with what we've done. It's a step forward. That's what it is.
Now, what I like, Chris, though, is his intensity at the contest. This guy, 193 centimetres, he's got some real speed. He hits the contest hard. He's been working on his ball use. Sometimes he can probably rush his disposal a bit, and off half-back, that's really critical. But I think he went at 100% on Friday night, which is fantastic. He just adds some X-factor, really dynamic edge to the back line. I like that.
I reckon that's exactly right. He has that bit of X-factor about him. So he could be a star, Jono Marsh, so we look forward to him playing for a long time for the club. Jay, I want to talk about the start because it was emphatic on Friday night against Fremantle, and like it was against Geelong when the team opened up with 7 first quarter goals, but the intensity and pressure right from the outset was evident.
And that had been a letdown throughout the first half of the season. Collingwood had often started its games quite slowly, but in what is probably a danger game here, there was plenty of support for Fremantle leading into this match. They started very well, and they got their tails up, and from there they really continued on with the performance. So, in wet weather, trying conditions, they had a couple of tall guys there with Mason Cox. Now, in wet weather, Chriso, that is very difficult. There was speculation Collingwood wouldn't play Cox, but I thought he was very good, and a very tough play there from Ben Sinclair. But what are we going to do? What is Collingwood going to do now with Cloke and Cox? Who makes ways? Darcy Moore, do you bring him straight in?
I think so. I think Darcy Moore comes straight back in. The talk is strong that he has recovered from his shoulder or collarbone injury. So
what does that mean?
Well, it means that someone has to go. So whether that's Cox or Cloke or White.
Can you drop Cloke after that?
No, absolutely not.
Coxie then?
Maybe Cox or maybe Jesse White.
Yeah.
I think that's...
Right.
I mean, I see White and Moore as two similar type of players, both really tall, good marks, but also so athletic. They can cover the ground really well. So maybe that's an option for the Magpies.
Very interesting. Nathan Buckley, I think, said on radio on ABC on Sunday that he saw White as more mobile than that, a slightly different player, more of a medium size than Moore, not a traditional key forward. It's a bit sort of different. So that'll be interesting if they go.
Yeah, I see them both as being really mobile and athletic. In fact, as I say, I reckon they're very similar in a lot of ways.
What about VFL for Moore? Do you give him, broken collarbone, had more than a month off? Does he go and have a kick in the twos?
I'm sure they'll talk about it. It's only been 4 or 5 weeks, so I think he's probably just done enough to be able to come straight back in. So we'll wait and see. But some good selection problems.
Be a big week.
Yeah, but some good selection problems for the match committee coming up. I want to talk about Saturday night. What a night it's going to be. Collingwood versus Carlton at the MCG. Now, Jay, it didn't work out too well and too positively last time we played Carlton, and there's the final margin, 15 points, and the camera stopped on Dale Thomas.
It's probably one of the real low points of the first half of the season there. You see Pendles congratulating the Blues players there. I think they only took 5 inside 50 marks, so it wasn't a great day for the forward line, but as you say, with Moore coming back in, it's going to be interesting for Solo. There's been lots of injuries since then. Look, as we said off the top, Collingwood really needs to make something of this second half of the season. It cannot be a wasted year. They need to see these green shoots. And the next month gets really difficult. They play GWS, Adelaide Kangas and Eagles, top 4 contenders. So a good win against Freo. Carlton, it must be continued. Collingwood has been very up and down. The effort has been inconsistent, would you say, Chris? So I think this week is a very important opportunity to reproduce the same intensity and effort of the contest.
Of course, Carlton will be missing their captain, Mark Murphy. But we've already got one up on Carlton, Jay, because since 1897, the win against Fremantle was Collingwood's 1500th win.
Fantastic.
And you can see there.
The first of 1500.
Correct, and that's why Carlton's so relevant. 14-14.
Yep.
So there's a big gap, and wouldn't that be nice to read 1501 and 1414 coming up after Saturday night. So a bit of history in the making there. 1,500 wins since coming into the competition, and way back in 1897 when you were just a pup.
I was just a pup. There's a lot of feeling. I know it's sort of late in the season and finals a bit of a stretch for Carlton at least. There's going to be a bit of feeling out there on Saturday night, isn't there? The two clubs don't really like each other.
Absolutely right. No, look, it's a fierce rivalry, and I think this hopefully will bring the best out of the Magpies. Now, speaking of what's coming up, very exciting, very exciting. Of course, the under-18 championships, and we've got a couple of father-sons that are making their way. Josh Dacos, here he is, number 7 for Vic Metro, and cutting his way. He looks like a really promising player, and I tell you what, he moves like his dad.
You would know. Small forward goal sneak, got some real class and X factor. Look at that turn and kick, that snap-on goal there. Just an instinctive ball gatherer and ball user. Some guys just have radars, don't they? And him, much like his dad, know where the goals are. So this was another promising step forward.
What a tackle that was.
For Dacos. Now, I reckon it's early, I know, but I reckon he's going to be a later pick. A 5th or 6th round, so a club bids, and then Collingwood's got a match. Now, this is the other guy, Callum Brown. Now, I would say he's only short, 177 centimetres, but I would say he's probably the standout prospect of the two. Had an excellent game in the midfield the week before, 27 possessions, and was good again at the weekend, kicked the match-winning goal. So he's probably more midfield forward. And very early on again, Chris, but I reckon he might be a second round sort of draft prospect. Talk about that's the match-winning goal there, which is fantastic. And look at the boys get together. So some interesting decisions for Derek Hine and the team, because they let James Stewart go a couple of years ago. So Decker's not afraid to make the hard calls there. They will pay what these two boys are worth. But good to see some Sons of Champions coming through.
No, it's very exciting. Very exciting. So looking forward to that. Well, Jay, time now for our Monday moments.
Now, you've been talking about this all weekend.
I have, and I'm going to kick it off with Adam Treloar. Now, the key thing when you make a mistake is to try and redeem it immediately. So Adam Treloar kicks across the ground. It's intercepted by Lachie Neale, so a mistake. But look at his effort to recover, and a superb tackle on Neale, and he's been able to win the free kick back. And gee, that was just outstanding play, because I reckon sometimes you make a mistake, you can dwell on it.
Of course you can.
And you can, and all of a sudden the moment's passed. But he didn't allow a moment to pass, and he pursued Neale and was able to drag him down. That was great stuff.
His tackle numbers have been fantastic this year, Adam Treloar. I mean, his kicking probably is an area that he can improve in, but I don't reckon you can fault his tenacity in a defensive sense.
No question. What about your Monday moment?
Well, I've gone for all the big fella. As I said, wet conditions on the weekend, Friday night, very tall for the big guys. But Mason Cox, I just want you to have a look at this. We know he's played a bit of basketball, a bit of soccer in the States, right? So it goes over his head, gets a jump on his man, Zach Dawson, far through out of the air, it's a goal. Well done, Mason. Now, for a big guy, 206 centimetres, he assessed the situation, read it quickly, it's going over the back, turned the agility, threw a leg out there, and kicked the goal. It was fantastic. Again, at the start of the match, Collingwood needed to get off to a good start. Now, that is fantastic, because there's so tough conditions for a big man. He's beaten two players, showed desperation, Chris. And that's what Nathan Buckley loves about this bloke. The effort is always there, and that was fantastic, Mason. Well done. I reckon he's going to keep his spot, just a gut feel.
Yeah, no, he played really well, didn't he? That was outstanding work from the big man, Mason Cox. Now, I'm not sure whether Collingwood had some trepidation about this, but they put Dane Swan in charge of the official Twitter account.
Hilarious.
Which was very funny watching the game on Friday night. Now, this is what he had to say about young man Tom Phillips, who was just playing in his second game. Nice by that young kid to kick his first goal. I'll have to meet him on Monday.
Classic.
Great stuff.
Bit of a crack at Phillips, saying, who is this young kid? He was quite promising, Phillips, but Dane Swan, that's just a bit of a sarcastic take. Of course, these two guys know each other well, but a bit of a take there. Now,
we'll hear from Tom Phillips, because Tom Phillips was asked about the tweet post-match.
Good to see Swanee's tweet there. I think he was talking about me. And I'd love to meet him Monday. Seen him about 15 times during the year. A few locker room little conversations. But yeah, I think Monday will be a really good time to have a quality chat with him.
Well, what Tom didn't say was that he still doesn't know my name. So there you go.
I like Tom Phillips. I think he's got a bit of humour in himself, a bit of a cheeky response there. I like that.
All right, mate, we've come to the end of the show. So looking forward to Saturday night. You talked earlier about getting some real impetus into the second half of the season, but no better way to start than against the Blues at the MCG Saturday night.
It's going to be a massive one. I think they'll be fired up. I think they owe the Blues. They weren't happy with their performance earlier in the season. I think there's going to be some revenge being taken out.
Hopefully you can join us next Monday as we review and talk about the big win by the Magpies over the Blues on Saturday night. Thanks for joining us on The Agenda.